birth is a day that we will never forget. I meet so many people that are inspired by their birth to make a difference so that others have an opportunity to have a safe, respected, supported, positive, pleasurable birth and postpartum. My guest today has a special story of how her birth, becoming a mother, was followed by the birth of becoming a doula. Hi, I'm Deborah Pascali Bonaro, founder and director of Orgasmic Birth and host of the Orgasmic Birth podcast. My guest today, Mahika, is extra special to me as we met in Bali at our Eat, Pray, Doula retreat, and now she's one of our guest teachers. She's an amazing doula, a birth keeper, a childbirth educator, a gentle birth activist, and a mother. So welcome, Mahika.
Hello, Deborah. Thank you so much for inviting me to this podcast. It's really an honor and a pleasure for me to be here, also as a continuation of the process of studying with you. And yes, this is correct. I have completed an Eat, Pray, Doula training. It was about 3.5 years ago with you, Deborah, with Ibu Robin Lim, and it's been an absolute life changer for me. And so, yeah, as you mentioned, I'd be happy to share the story of my own birth and how it led to me becoming a doula, a gentle birth activist. So, yeah, shall I?
It's so wonderful, right? And knowing that you're there, many people know that Ibu Robin Lim also is a dear friend. So the fact that we're in this circle, and Ibu Robin always tells me that you are an amazing doula. I know as a midwife, midwives and doulas go perfect together, and she's honored to work with you. But I know it started, as so many things in life do, change once we give birth ourselves. It impacts us so much. Can you share a little bit about your birth? Take us back to kind of being pregnant and leading up and how the birth was for you.
Yes, absolutely. So I became pregnant and gave birth 9 years ago, actually almost 10 years ago. I was in my late 20s then. And I remember this like first thought and first impression that came over me when I found out that I'm pregnant. I became so excited about giving birth itself. So it was like not even a trace of like fear or concern or, oh my God, how am I going to do this? It was this pure, natural, genuine excitement of living through this experience. And even the intensity that I knew about, it was something that I was super excited about. So, of course, it led me through a journey of living a very pleasurable and conscious pregnancy. And I wouldn't say that it was pleasurable in a way that everything was just great with my like physicality. Of course, I've had challenges like morning sickness, and my body was changing. And I mean, it's quite a job, to grow a child inside of you. But in the same time, every step of this journey was so exciting and so fascinating for me that I mean, I was even surprised with myself. I'm like, wow, how am I taking it so nicely? Because I know, like, I hear stories from everywhere about like difficulties of pregnancy, but somewhere inside my mind and also inside my heart, I had such deep appreciation of this experience. And yeah, it led me through weeks and weeks of reading beautiful books like Birthing from Within, Pam England, and doing Labyrinth of Birth practice, and so many wonderful resources that I had. And I gave birth in Toronto, in Canada, and that was another big luck that I had, because when I got pregnant, I found out that actually we have amazing communities of midwives in Toronto. It's not like home birth is illegal. It was not illegal. It was more than legal. It was like approved on a government level, and all women had amazing resourceful support. And we had a beautiful Toronto birthing center, which maybe you have visited. I know that Robin Lim did visit that, and it's just a beautiful center built and supported by Indigenous midwives of Canada. And this is where I chose my birth to be. This was like a middle point between doing a home birth and a birth outside of my home. I didn't want to be constricted with the walls of my house because I had neighbors, and I was like, okay, I just want my private, quiet space without doctors, without, any interference. And so I got all of this amazing support from Ontario government and community of midwives. So it's a big like luck that I consider myself to be in, but also it's my big wish so that this kind of resources become available to all the women, because I just know how much difference it makes. And so I haven't been living in Canada actually for over 4 years now, since I moved to Bali. I'm not really sure if things have changed in there, but back then, 10 years ago, it was just a pure bliss. It was really grateful. I was really grateful to be in that. And it's interesting that even though I was, like preparing myself and reading books and doing birth classes, I've heard about doulas, but it never really settled in me that I should have one. I'm like, okay, I know but I have this like midwife, she's great. I have this like birthing center, it's great. And then perhaps about 2 weeks before my due date, I'm meeting my friend on the street, and she's like, oh my God, you're due really soon. I'm like, yeah. She's like, do you have a doula? I'm like, no. She's like, oh no, you should have a doula, man. I'm like, yeah, but I don't know what. She's like, just believe me. Just like, no, don't double ask me anything. Just believe me. You must have a doula. I'll give you this amazing contact. This great doula from Guatemala. She actually used to be a midwife, but she's working as a doula here in Canada now. Just like, take my word, you're gonna love it. And somehow had a big, trust credit with that woman, Melissa. It was for her first child, and she told me she had an orgasmic birth, and I'm like, yeah, I should probably have a doula. And so, she gave me the contact. And then I was gonna leave her, and then she goes, oh, I have one more tip for you. I'm like, yeah, what's going on? She's like, massage your clitoris. Like, when you when you I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, especially before, like the pushing stage, just take it, just like do it. I'm like, okay, interesting. So yeah, and then later I understood why she said it, because at that point I was like, but anyways, when I when I met my doula, it was an instant click. Her energy was amazing. She felt like a big mama tree. Like she walked into my house, and the energy that she radiated was just like so grounding, and I could feel so much experience in her. I think she had like 5 or 6 kids herself, so I could see, she's a big mama, and I was more than comfortable to welcome her into my birth space. And so when we had an agreement that yes, she's welcome to my birth, she gave me a CD, a DVD. Sorry, back then, we still had DVDs, and that DVD was called Orgasmic Birth, and she's like, watch it. And wow, that's interesting. And she's like, watch it with your husband. And so we made it a special occasion, yeah, to watch this DVD. It was really like beautiful fall um, day. My daughter was born early October, so it was this Indian summer. You know, all the trees were beautiful yellow, red, all the colors. And we went to a place next to our house called Hyde Park. It's one of the like biggest parks in Toronto. Very beautiful. So we took our fully charged laptop, uh, DVD player, and we went into the park, found a really nice spot under the trees, and we watched the movie. Yeah.
Beautiful story. Oh, I am so touched and honored. So, what were you thinking about it as you watched it? What did it bring up for both of you?
We were blown away. We were blown away with the possibility of living this experience in such a different way, of a way that society is not telling us about. And it was shot in such a gorgeous way that everything, all the footage that you see, it's like real people having real experience. It's not just someone talking, you know, about their possible past. It's very realistic footage that you cannot disbelieve. You see it in front of your eyes. You know, you see the smiles, you see the orgasms in front of your eyes right there. So it was absolutely impressive. And in the same time, it all felt very familiar. And I understood why I was so excited to go through this experience myself. And it was not, it was because I always saw it more than just coping with the pain. Coping with the pain for me was not exciting. It was just like finding another tool, right? But seeing a birth as a beautiful, powerful initiation for me as a woman, this is what excitement was about. And this documentary was just a living proof of everything that I felt myself. It was right there in front of my eyes. And so in about a week and a half, I was ready to go into it and experience it myself. And it was such a beautiful inspiration for me. And yeah, and the proof that it's the reality, and this is how the reality is and how it can be once you're aligned and once you know about it. So yeah.
And so, and this is so wonderful to hear, right? To hear your trust, to know that, you were led to the doula. I love that, she came into your life and she was the one that introduced orgasmic birth to you as well. But now, as labor began and you transitioned to the birth center, what was that like? How were you feeling in the midst of labor?
Yes. So I had I think I had about uh 13, 15 hours of labor. So it was not very long, but also it was not very short. It gave me time to walk into it and walk into it fairly slowly and accelerate along the way. I spent most of my time in water in my birth, and I must say that I must have been quite a difficult mama. Now that I'm a doula, I'm like, oh, actually, I was quite a difficult one because I didn't want to get out of the water from the beginning. I got into the birthing center, I jumped into that tub, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna be here all this time because I love it. And it was still quite early, as mamas probably know, and as we doulas know, sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to get in the water too early because it might slow down your labor. It's not going to stop it, but there is a chance that you're just going to spend in labor a little bit more than you could. So as doulas and midwives, we usually encourage mamas to wait just a little bit more until the labor is more active. But I didn't care. Yeah. I just jumped into the water. And yeah, thank God my labor did not slow down, or at least I tend to believe that it did not. And I accelerated fairly quickly. And of course, I remember the intensity of the contractions of the surges that were starting to come in. And so I remembered how women in the documentary, how the sounds that they were making, right? And those were like really like beautiful sounds of orgasms, as all this like moaning and like soft and powerful and all that. And I remember myself thinking, okay, maybe if I do that, it's gonna get me there. And so I did, and it was really beautiful. I loved the sounds. And then I remember my doula like sitting and looking at me, and she's like, Mahika, do you want to like open your voice? Like, it's like, do you want to sound? Because she saw me doing the effort, but it was a little bit, like a little bit of a simulation, because I was just not there, but I tried to be there. I tried to be there really hard. But then she encouraged me to be really honest with myself, because she saw that I want to sound, and she's like, just go ahead. She's like, do you want to like, I don't know if she said scream or yell, but she told me like, open your voice, just like go for it. If you want to be loud, just go for it. And so I did, and it was amazing. This was like something that I found in my way of channeling the orgasmic sounds that were absolutely truthful to me. This was my voice. This was my sound that led me through beautiful experience. Pleasurable, powerful, empowering, opening, deepening, grounding, you name it. Like through this sounds, I've had everything. And I mean, I had quite psychedelic experiences in my birth. I remember myself like turning into this animal that felt like being a wolf, like a wolf mama. And with this voice, I was like howling at that moon. So it was amazing. And I think that the finding the key to connecting to that truth within myself really, really did the trick. And then as I was living through the surges, I had a moment when a midwife, she told me, Mahika, I think that you can go a little bit faster if you get out of the water, have a walk, and then perhaps we can also break your waters. We can break your water sac. I didn't want to get out of the water, but okay, they convinced me to do that. They did not convince me to break my my water sac. I didn't tell them no, but I told them, wait, you wait. I said, give me time. Can you wait? I didn't know why I said it. I didn't have any plan in mind, actually, but I knew that I had to ask them to wait to do that. And so I remember I laid on the bed. I walked a little bit, but then I laid on the bed. And all of a sudden, I started imagining my water sac breaking. I asked myself, okay, if my water sac breaks right now, what would it feel like? What would it sound like? What would it look like? So I came into this deep meditation of visualizing this experience before having it. And fair enough, in about a couple of surges, I hear a sound. And then I experience this big boom of explosion inside of me. I actually hear it. Like it felt like that, you know, the Maha explosion. And then I feel my waters breaking. And it's one of those moments that I'm like, wow, you know, I am proud of myself. I broke my own waters. That's what I did, you know, without anyone's help, just with the power of intention. And it really proved to myself how powerful I am over the conditions of my own body and of my own mind. And with the proper concentration and focus, I can do so much. And yeah, that was really powerful experience in my birth.
So beautiful. And birth is so much more, right? We know as doulas than what we think of because it does take us into these deep places. I love that. I call it your birth song, right? That you found that song that you really connected, that it's your body, your baby, your wisdom. So take us now. Your water released. Did things shift? Did it change at that moment?
Yes, absolutely. First of all, I jumped back in the water. that
I love
that
it.
was that was my favorite place to be. I'm like, okay, guys, I did what you wanted me to do. I'm back to that place. So I jumped back in the water, and since then, I hardly remember anything. I just remember that my body was doing all the work, and I was pushing. I was not really pressured or guided to push. I just knew what to do. My urges to push were really, really strong. And it was really, yeah, like all of a sudden, this was the shift. Like all of a sudden, instead of um instead of leaving through the surges and breathing to the surges, and accepting this intensity and then channeling this intensity, all of a sudden I had to gather all of my energy together, all of my force together, and channel it down all the way through me into the Mother Earth to allow my baby to come out. So it was not a long period, but it was really, really strong and powerful period. And I gave birth in the water. Remember being on my side with one leg up, that was held, I think, by my partner. I didn't care, you know, who is holding me or not. But yeah, you know, the midwife, she caught my baby. She helped her to slide out of me, and then I had her on my chest, thinking that this, knowing and experiencing this as one of the most powerful moments, the most powerful moments and the happiest moment of my life. Yeah, that was it.
So beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing because I know that it's a deeply personal and intimate moment giving birth, and hearing your words just kind of touch my heart. I can feel my own oxytocin bubbling from your strength and power, and knowing how you created your own orgasmic birth. And now, after, and I'm sure there was a period of time, but I know that it inspired you to become a doula. So, how did giving birth shift then what you were thinking about doing going forward?
So I think that it didn't shift anything, but it validated something that was already in me. It was just a big proof that all that I thought that is true is actually true. So it was a huge validation, and it was so empowering to continue my life, knowing about, you know, the feminine power, the wisdom, and that everything, not everything that we're told from the TV, from internet, from radio, whatever, that all of that is true. You know, we can question, we can do our research, we can unprogram our subconscious beliefs. So that was the validation for me. The things that I deeply felt came out to be validated. And I didn't turn to be inclined to become a doula right away after my birth. Of course, I was so occupied and busy with my girl, and it took a lot of time. Not until I actually moved out to Bali. I was always interested in this topic. Like, mamas and babies were always around me. I was teaching yoga. I've been asked to substitute prenatal yoga teachers like every week until I would start teaching prenatal yoga myself. So most of the time was around mamas and babies for me. But it never actually came to doula training until I moved out to Bali. And it happened right before COVID. And I stayed in a village where Bumi Sehat is. So basically, I stayed in a village right across Bumi Sehat. And so that one evening I was walking around and I'm like, whoa, that's interesting. That's a birthing center. Okay, what's that statue? Oh, that's Robin Lim. Okay, let me walk in. Let me find out what's in there. And since then, I've been taken in by this beautiful woman that I got to know. And then I got to know that there is a training going on. And in this training, there's this amazing woman, Deborah, the director of Orgasmic Birth, that inspired me to have the birth. So it just like all came together into one. And I had absolutely no doubts that I would love to take this training. And so I did, and it was amazing. It was really informative. It was really inspiring. It was really great to see women from all around the world. And even though back then, because of the COVID, that training was online, it still gave me so much wisdom and so much empowerment. I knew that there is still like a lot more that I want to learn, like hands-on, with a hands-on experience. But also, I got so many resources from the training, so many books to read and so many recommendations. I knew that I had to do a lot of self-work, self-study after that, and have the hands-on experience. But it was still life-changing for me. And I came back to the training next year because I was translating for my friend. And then I came back to the training the year after that, and it just kept on going until last year I did advanced doula training in Bali. And this training is with me basically every year since then. And every time I'm finding out new things, every time there's new information that's coming through. And yeah, I'll be definitely back this year also.
I hope so. We're can't wait to be with you again. And
Yes.
we love that you're leading circles for us too, and moving into that space to share your wisdom now in ways with all the people from around the world. So
Yes.
becoming a doula, I can hear your passion, right? I mean, amazing. I didn't realize you had kind of were living across from Bumi Sehat. And so, of course, Ibu Robin and the midwives there and the birth center called you in. But now that you are a doula, and I know that you're offering incredible support to so many people as they're journeying through pregnancy, birth, and postpartum, what are some of your tips? I know we have people listening today that might even be like, should I have a doula or not? What are some things that you would share with them that they could prepare for their own orgasmic birth?
Hmm. There's so many things, and in the same time, things are quite simple. Because when you have that first intention of living this experience in a different way that has been assigned to us from the society and then from the conventional medicine. Once you tap into that heart space, it's going to lead you into the right people and the right support and the right resources. And my recommendation is, first of all, find people who are like-minded. Yeah, find mamas around you who carry the same values. Enter that community, and there you will find spectrum of resources and spectrum of experiences and support that you actually need. But one thing for sure, don't just, don't delay things. Start getting on it from the moment you decide to become a mother, from the moment that you decide to become pregnant, because there's so many things in our mind that has been there for years and years, programming that has been there for years. And it's sometimes not as easily cracked because it's been without such a long time. And it takes time to readjust, it takes time to relax. And as we all know, one of the keys into to pleasurable, joyful birth experience, just like the key to pleasurable and joyful sex, is the state of relaxation. The more you're relaxed, the more you release your fears and your concerns, the more pleasurable it is. So doing everything to release that tension during the pregnancy and before that is going to help you enter the portal of birth in a good way, in an empowering and calm way. Working with a doula is amazing, of course. Some doulas, they only offer birth support, where they would come just to your labor, maybe see you several times before. And some doulas, they also offer classes. They do birth classes. So either way is great. Either way, you are going to receive the support that you need. Just find the right people in front of just find the right people around you. We're not meant to do this alone. For generations and generations, women have been given birth in the community of sisters, supported by their sisters, by their mothers, by their grandmothers. And this is not a luxury, it is a necessity. And it is your right to claim for it. And thank God that in this world of such available information and networking, we can find and when we can reach out to those people. So go ahead and do this through social networks, through the community of mamas, ask around, and you will definitely find it.
Beautiful advice, Mahika, for sure. And I know that, you are still in Bali and you offer direct doula services there for anyone that's listening that would like a doula in Bali. They are blessed to have you there. But you also offer many things that listeners, wherever you are in the world, can engage with you. Can you talk a little bit about what you're offering now?
Yes, absolutely. So as you mentioned, yes, in-person support in Bali. I would love to introduce you to the island and how the system works in here and what are your options and what is your available support, and also to support you throughout your pregnancy and the birth itself. And as it comes to online, I'm also doing online consultations that are covering different topics. I can introduce you to the idea of gentle birth and how to prepare your space, how to prepare your mind, your body, and your emotions for gentle birth. You can also work with me one-on-one on releasing the fears and concerns about birth itself. It's a very beautiful personal work where we would tap into your emotions and uncover things that are hidden, and um, release the myths that you might carry and the programs that you might carry. Actually, a lot of the work that I do start with the mind, and I do start with untangling things that can be blocks. So yeah, I have a social media on Instagram. You can find me as gentlebirth.doula. Wait. I forgot my Instagram. Gentle. Okay.
I
You
know
can
how
find,
that goes for sure.
yes. You can find my work online on social media on Instagram, gentle.birth.doula. I post a lot of useful information about gentle birth in there. You can find, you can shoot me a private message. You can book a consultation with me. I would love to help you. Another consultation that I'm offering is working with your partner. If your partner is wishing to be in birth with you, they definitely need some introduction and preparation to find out about what's their role, what tools that they can use to support you. So I'd be happy to help you with that. So you're welcome to my account. You're welcome to connect. I'd be happy to support you.
Thank you so much, Mahika. And for those that are listening, if you are expecting or planning on it, I would highly recommend connecting with Mahika. We'll put all your contacts, your Instagram into the show notes. So please look below wherever you're listening or watching this podcast, and you'll be able to click directly, whether it's a question or you want to learn more about working together. And I thank all our listeners. Thank you for joining us and listening today. We hope you'll take the time to rate and review our podcast. That truly helps us reach more people if you want to help us spread a message of pleasure, love, and gentle birth. Thank you again, Mahika.
Thank you so much, Deborah. It's been an honor.
Yeah, love you. And
Love
to
you.
everyone, wishing you pleasure today, and hopefully you'll join us next week for the next episode of the Orgasmic Birth Podcast.